People, by their default, if they're resting, if they're relaxing, we perceive information and we accept it as true. It takes us cognitive effort to disprove it, to disagree with it. When we're agitated, when we're elevated, when we're in a sort of a fight or flight emotional state, we tend to reject new information. We tend to go closer to the status quo. We're more comfortable with saying old information is true, new information probably false. And it takes us more cognitive effort to change our minds. And this is oversimplifying, but I think that that's the rough way to say it, is that if someone is rested, someone is relaxed, they're easier to change their mind. If someone likes the person who's bringing the message to them, they're more likely to change their mind. If someone doesn't feel threatened by changing their message, they're more likely to change their mind. Basically the state of changing your mind, usually you're content, you're happy, you're not strongly associated with the previous belief you have held. You think that the belief that you'd be changing towards is popular, it's safe, and it's attractive in some way. So if I think that we'll call it target state versus the present state, if the target state is a safe place to jump to, I'm more likely to jump to it. If the target state feels dangerous, if it feels like it threatens my identity to jump to the target state, if it feels like I'm upset by the person who's endorsing me jump to the target state, all of these things make me more likely to stay where I am, to not want to jump. Particularly if I have a limited amount of attention in a day and I have to learn more, if there's a cost of information to learn more to change my own mind, the less appealing that destination seems from the get-go, the more likely I am to not seek out information. I'm more likely to just rest on my default assumption. And I'm more likely that the information I do get reinforces my existing bias rather than allowing me to make an informed decision. So in short, and I've already been very long, the short thing is the state of about to feel your mind, you feel comfortable, and it doesn't feel like that big of a deal to change your mind. It just feels like a change of preference or a change of opinion. Not all things will feel like that. And as you say, you have changed your mind. Sometimes it hurts. Sometimes it does hurt. But that's not what we should be aiming for when we're persuading people. It is possible to change your own mind when it hurts, but you should never want someone to feel like they're hurting themselves to change their own mind to your belief. You've kind of failed as a persuader if that's the only path that you can present for someone to reach your views.
How do you go about changing someone's mind when it does seem like it's kind of radically different from their current identity? So let's say, I don't want to give any specific examples. Like if somebody was like in QAnon or something, just something like wildly out there, and you were trying to convince them that maybe JFK Jr. is not going to rise from the dead, is there a way that you would do that?
Yeah, I'd start by listening to them. I'd start by listening to what they have to say. I'd start by identifying any points of agreement that I couldn't find. And I'd start by making them feel like, well, I disagree with you, but I don't think that you're evil. I don't think that you're stupid for believing those things.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to be persuaded by someone who thinks you're stupid and evil.
Yeah.
Even if you think someone is stupid and evil, if you want to persuade them, you're probably better off trying to put those beliefs to your side, because you aren't going to defeat them with all caps facts and all caps logic. It isn't the way that humans work most of the time. Maybe the ideal human works, and maybe there are people out there who do work that way. My guess would be in the case of the QAnon person, that's not how that person works. That they're not just going to see, okay, well, here's a reasoned argument, boom, because they probably already seen that argument. So yeah, listening to them and befriending them is a very effective way to start persuading someone. We talk a lot. One of the first points I emphasize when I'm teaching persuasion is about you as a messenger. And large group of traits that make a messenger seem trustworthy and persuasive. They fall into kind of two rough categories. One of them is the strength of your personality. One of them is the warmth that you exhibit. Strength is things like competence and trustworthiness and respectability, and just a sort of I would call it the halo factor, which is just your general perceived like goodness. And then there's the warmth, which is the likability and the similarity. And this is the more soft, like how much would I want to have a beer with this person versus how much would I let this person watch my kids on the weekend. And the most persuasive people are strong and warm. And you probably have a tendency towards one or the other. I very much tend towards having a strong personality, which means that I'm usually heard. People usually have to listen to what I want to say, but I can come across as abrasive and unpleasant.
I have not found that at all, ever with you.
That's very kind. Um, Sarah might say something otherwise. I can be pretty stubborn, and I can be a pretty boorish when I'm in a cranky mood and I haven't had my coffee. But I think that the another type of person is they tend towards warmth. They tend to be very friendly and very conflict averse and very likable, but they may often feel like they're not being heard, or they would feel like a bad interaction was one where they didn't get a chance to say what they thought. Whereas I might feel a bad interaction more typically is one where I kind of piss that person off.
Yeah.
And if you identify what your weakness is, you can focus on the other one. So I'm focus in a lot of my interactions on emphasizing the warmth side of me, because the strength just comes naturally. If you're a warm person, you can probably let that work, and then you just got to focus on the strength side of you. And ultimately that makes you a more persuasive communicator overall. I don't remember what the original question was with the gap, so hopefully that's answered.
This is fantastic. It's
around something useful.
It's great. I love it. It's very useful too.
But to draw it back to the politicians thing, the classic politician move is where they want to show similarity and likability and warmth. So they wear the high-vis vest and the hard hat because they're just like you.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
They also wear the suit underneath it because they want to show that they're respectable and competent and serious. So the suit with the high-vis vest over it, that's the classic politician's outfit. In my class, I have a slide which is like every prime minister, the last like 6 prime ministers wearing the high-vis vest and the hard hat over the suit, which I love.
To be fair, if they weren't wearing a suit, they would show off their lack of tan and any discernible muscle, which might not look good with a high-vis vest and a hard hat.
Fair enough.
I don't know.
But I'm telling you, that's intentionally crafted very
amazing.
carefully. Like there's a reason that they do it that way.